Hi, this is Christy with Rising North. Today, we're going to dive right in to three ways that you can permanently transform your life and your reality forever. Number one, most important one. This one will lay the foundation for the next two. So this is the most integral part of changing your life right here. This little piece of advice. Pretend your life is in front of you on a giant dry erase board. And you are adding and subtracting and erasing and drawing new and constantly creating your reality as you wish it to be. What does this look like? This looks like you having a vision first in your imagination, in your mind, creating a vision of how you want to show up in this life. You are going to see everything. The vacations you want to take, the your physical body, your job, your communication style, your friends, your family, every single component of your life, your exercise routines, your habits, your pets, your all relationships, right? They all should be up there on this dry erase board. And however you decide to design this, I'm just giving you an example of a dry erase board. But the takeaway is that you are responsible for creating your own life. So if there's components in your life right now that are not serving you or no longer serving you, it is your responsibility, solely your responsibility, to take ownership and accountability and make the necessary changes in order for you to move forward on your path and to create the reality that you most desire. So, how this impacts your reality is very simple. Very, very simple, actually. If you keep doing the same things you have always done, you are going to keep getting the same results that you've always gotten. And if the time has come for you to transform your world and your life and your reality, you must then take a good look at your life, all the different components on that board, and decide what needs to be erased and what needs to be added, what needs to be permanently eradicated from that board, and go about the business of making the necessary changes in your life to have it become what you desire your reality to be. That is key number one. Going along with that is also considering that no one is responsible for your choices and your behaviors and the actions that you take aside from you. What does that mean? It means no more excuses. No more blaming your partner who you've been with for 20 years, who you feel like the reason why you can't get ahead is because of him or her. No more of that. The trauma, the trauma that you have encountered in your life, we all have encountered trauma. And I'm not saying it's not very difficult to get through and there's not healing that needs to be done. Of course, there is. But at the end of the day, at some point, your identity, if it's attached to those traumas that happened to you earlier in your life, and you're constantly using those traumas as an excuse of why you haven't been able to get out of the current position that you're in, then do not expect your reality to change. Your reality is going to stay the same. You found justification for your behaviors, for your life being exactly as it is at this moment. And if we have crutches that we're leaning on both sides, they're going to prop us up and give us that safety and security. Oh, this is why I am here in this current condition, because this person did this to me. This person said this to me. This person treated me like this. Then the chances of you moving forward and taking ownership are very slim. So the excuses erased from the board. All accountability belongs to self. When you become self-actualized and you become independent enough to stand on your own 2 feet, take responsibility for where you are currently, that is when your reality it has permission. You have now opened the door and given it permission to permanently shift. So that is change number one. Number two, you decide how you're going to show up in the world and you decide who is going to be allowed into your private space. And as you're rebuilding your new reality, I would think that you want people in that reality who are going to support you, who are going to encourage you, who are going to inspire you to into the greatness that you have been destined on this earth and put here to become. If you are going to rise into your highest version, you can no longer tolerate nonsense. And that also means relationships that are not serving your highest vision. If people are tearing you down and people don't believe in you for any reason, and I want you to listen very closely to this. They are going to have their reasons. They're going to say that they're helping you, that they're trying to get you to see different perspectives, and that you're being unrealistic maybe about some of your goals, or however they see it, that's their side of the street. That does not belong to you. Your responsibility is you and how you're going to propel your life forward. Anybody who is not in your car or behind it, pushing it forward. And it's your car can't move forward because these people are hanging on so tight, or they're pulling you, right? Then you need to cut them out. Erase them from your dry erase board. Erase them. And I know some of you might be like, well, that's not as easy as you think it is. It really is that easy. If you decide you're not going to entertain certain behaviors or certain treatment anymore, and you go through your life and you figure out, okay, who's on my team here, who's not on my team, and you remove the adversaries, why wouldn't you do that? If you want your reality to change, then you really need to take a look at who's in your reality. That is number two, change number two that you need to make. Number three, the final shift. This is probably the hardest one for a lot of people. The final shift that needs to be made and it needs to be examined is what you are currently ingesting. Everything is energy. I have an energy that I'm emitting right now. You have energy. Every single thing in this room is energy. So, what are you ingesting and bringing into yourself throughout your daily grind, throughout your daily life, right? So, one way to illustrate how important this is I want you to think about Silicon Valley, all those multimillionaires, right? Billionaires living in Silicon Valley in California. A lot of those people, those executives and those CEOs choose to send their kids to Montessori schools, Waldorf schools, people like Bill Gates, people like Steve Jobs, um, very influential people, people that have made great transformations in our world and in our society and have kind of questioned the norm and risen above the norm. Why is it that they choose to send their kids? And some of them have actually also had a Montessori-based education, right? That, if you want to look it up, you can do your own research on this, but I've done some research on this on my own. Montessori schools are non-traditional. They do not operate the same way that traditional school systems operate in. They foster independent thinking, self-reliance, accountability, pacing yourself, disciplining yourself, learning all these skills that are going to allow you to build your self-esteem from the ground up. People like Bill Gates, people like Steve Jobs, they recognize the benefit of problem solving skills, developing critical thinking skills, developing self accountability, self reliance, independent thought process. These schools, these Montessori schools, are very non-tech based schools. In fact, a lot of them are pencil and paper throughout the eighth grade year. So they are not throwing kids in front of computers because they know the value of the imagination and they know the value of creativity in order to create change in our world. So, how is what you are ingesting? Why is it so important and how is it impacting you? Subconsciously, your mind is taking in all of the messages throughout the day, and I'm sure you've heard this already, that you are ingesting, right? So if you are watching trashy TV shows with a lot of drama and you are engaging in a lot of gossip throughout your day, right? You're having a lot of meaningless kind of conversations that are negatively going in the direction towards a more negative viewpoint of other people or of situations or of just mindset in general, right? Like a scarcity mindset, a fear-based mindset, a lack mindset. If you are engaging in these kinds of activities, as well as social media, are you scrolling? Are you comparing yourself to others? Are you watching the news, which is there to bring about fear within the collective? And is it really beneficial for you to be doing that if you are trying to create your new world and your new life? Why I talked about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates sending their kids to Montessori school, why I'm talking about that is because they know the power of building the imagination. That is where all the seeds are planted. So all of these, everything I'm looking at in this room right now, the computer screen, the microphone, the camera, the windows, and the couch, every single thing in my life, somebody, and in your life, somebody had this idea. And they had this, what probably seemed at the time as this crazy idea. And they had the self-discipline. They had the drive and the determination to create change and maybe go against the norm. Because I guarantee you, if you talk to some of these billionaires in Silicon Valley that are at the cutting edge of our world and inventing new ways and new methods and always on that brink, right? Of perpetual change, like our world is continually moving in, they will tell you, I can promise you they will tell you that a lot of people poo-pooed them early on, right? And said, "Oh no, that's crazy. That you can't create that. You can't make that." And look at what they've done. And it's the same thing with you. If they can create change on such a monumental level in our world, then we surely can take ownership and responsibility for creating just our personal reality to become what it is that we desire it to become. The time for excuses is over. Most of us have been probably, I'm guessing, because most people are, raised in the traditional school system where now we have to take our power back. We have to build our power because we were in a more teacher-led, right, programs. We were in they lead, we follow. So we're kind of all ducks in a row. Now it's time to get out of the line, and you're no longer a duck in that row. You're no longer the sheep following the shepherd. You are embarking on your own life and your own journey, and you're creating it, and you're pulling in the players that you want on your team as well. So hopefully this helped you to recognize maybe one, even if you could take one little piece away from this video. I hope that your life, you will continue rising and creating and erasing and rising and creating and erasing. Until next time. And if you liked the video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.